Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to the show. Got an exciting one here for you. We are going through every single team here for the matchups for NFL Week 3 and giving you the must starts. Guys, this is a must listen episode. We're also going to go over some key injuries for your team. There's going to be timestamps below so you can go to the team and the player that you want. But it's a packed episode full of information, fantasy football news, and crucial must-start information for you guys to win NFL Week 3. Starts and sits, everything here, guys. Full preview. Welcome to the show, Jim. I've got energy. I'm excited. What's happening on this Wednesday, man?
I guess you had your coffee, counselor. Good for you.
Yeah, straight black coffee, no sugar. I heard that once you have you add milk to it, it dilutes the caffeine and stuff. So I'm just like straight coffee, black, no sugar, and that gives me a little bit of a boost here for this morning, man. I'm excited. I'm pumped.
There you go, man. That does it. That'll do the trick.
All right, man. I mean, I don't even want to talk about the news because there's news baked into every team. So we're going to go team by team by team. Again, timestamps are below. You get to the team that you want. We're going to talk about all the must-starts for the team. We're going to talk about the spreads for each team, everything. Guys, we're going to cover the matchups, key injuries, everything you need. So I'm ready to dive into it. Before we do, guys, hit the thumbs up, smash it, tap it, slap it. Hit that thumbs up, guys. Really helps the channel. And drop a question below. I'll try to get to as many questions as I can. I am human. I can only get to so many, but I do have a Patreon group for the elites here. Join the front lines, patreon.com/FF Counselor. If you want your question guaranteed, join the generals there, the general package, and I do a Q&A in the front lines. Join there, guys, and get your questions answered guaranteed. Patreon.com/FF Counselor. Amazing community, guys. Inside information, exclusive videos. Awesome. Join it. Okay, guys? And hit the thumbs up. All right, let's talk about the first matchup here tomorrow. New England at the Jets, divisional matchup. We got the Jets here, favored at 6.5. I think Breece Hall was dealing with something minor. He's okay. Like, there's nothing to be concerned about here. I don't see any key injuries here, Jim. Anything jumping out at you for this matchup in regards to must-starts or injuries?
No, but it seems like a sucky Thursday night game. It seems like it's going to be a low-scoring game. It's really just Ramadre. That's the only guy. And on the Jets, it's Breece and it's Garrett, and that's it. It's pretty easy, pretty straightforward here.
But I want to tell you, so as Breece Hall, it was his quadriceps that were kind of banged up, but he did practice fully yesterday on Tuesday. 38.5 is the over-under, 6.5 point favorite are the Jets. And again, if you guys want my picks, I've listed the top comment here below. Join the Counselor's Edge. I'm going to be giving you guys all the picks on the money line and the spread so you guys can, get an advantage and win. Okay, guys? I also want to talk about Polk. A lot of people saying Jalen Polk had a mini breakout last week. Could Polk be a viable start this week, Jim? I think possibly.
I think it's only because he got the touchdown. I don't even know what his stats were. Geez. I'm not trusting any receiver on the Patriots right now. I mean, there's just not enough there for anybody. And I heard that DeMario Douglas is super frustrated with this offensive scheme. Obviously they're keeping it extremely low risk, low upside, just game manager. That's all they're doing. They're just game managing, letting the defense keep it close and give them a chance to win. I would not start Jalen Polk. Not a chance.
3 targets last week, 2 receptions, 12 yards, 1 touchdown, 9.2 fantasy points. So not a lot of points, but something to consider if you guys are desperate. Maybe, he could break out. You never know. This could be prime time Polk breakout week. You never know.
I wouldn't count on it. I wouldn't count on it, man. 3 targets. No, that's not a player that you start.
We'll see. I hope you're wrong. You're going to eat your words. Polk is going to make you eat your words. All right. So those are your must starts here. We've gone over it here. And again, Braylon Allen, a lot of people are starting. Is he a start this week, Jim? I mean, 2 touchdowns last week. No. Still, you gotta feel him out, I think.
He only had 7 touches. It's just not enough. He was lucky because he got the touchdowns. I'm not willing to start him. I wouldn't do it.
I've been saying, since draft season, it's a great insurance policy. I think he's great talent. I think he's going to be an outstanding insurance policy. If Breece were to go down, we got league winning upside and talent. That's my belief on Braylon. If you got Breece, I think he's kind of a must own. Braylon, I'll try to get him on your rosters. Okay. Let's go into the matchups here for the week. We're going to start off with Houston at Minnesota here. 45.5 points is the over-under. Expected to have a lot more points scored. This is going to be a good matchup. Again, we got the Texans on the road, 2.5-point favorite. Nico Collins stepping up. He seems to be the one. Is that going to continue? We see Sam Darnold performing really well. Did well. They're both 2-0 teams. Who would have thought Minnesota would be 2-0? This is a matchup that's going to be entertaining to watch. I think this is where, it separates the men from the boys here. We got to see if Darnold can actually continue this, Jim. But my must starts, obviously, Nico Collins here. Joe Mixon was dealing with some sort of leg issue. I think he should be good to go, though. Obviously, Strout's a must start here. Jefferson's a must start. Addison had a bit of an injury. I think it was a leg injury, right, Jim? I think Addison.
I think it was an ankle. I think it was what it was, an ankle injury. He is a potential return for week 3. Not sure if I'm thrilled with the idea of starting him coming off this ankle injury. I'd like to give it a week. But if you need to start him, obviously you need to start him. And then Justin Jefferson is injured as well, right? I mean, is there a chance Justin Jefferson could miss?
No, I heard that he's going to be good to go. Like, I think it was a quad traumatic contusion. I had one before when I was MMA fighting. I think it's just the quad swells up, very hard to walk. I think blood pools up. I think he should be good to go. I don't see that being an issue. I mean, if anything, it might be a week max, but I see him playing this week. So he's obviously a must start. But man, I got to give credit to Sam Darnold. I can't believe this, Jim. I can't believe Sam Darnold, like, doing well.
I don't believe it. I'm not a believer. I don't believe in Sam Darnold. And if in fact, we've got Addison coming back from injury and Jefferson dealing with an injury, that for me doesn't look good for the Vikings. They don't have a lot. They do not have a lot there. I would think the Texans would be a great defense to start this week. It looks like that would probably be a decent choice. But we'll have to see.
And Ty Chandler, I mean, he might get some more work now. I don't know if you saw the fumble by washed up Aaron Jones. I'm just not really an Aaron Jones guy. A lot of people are higher on him this year. Oh, he's the RB1. Fumbled last week, 9.8 points. Ty Chandler comes in, got more attempts. Ty Chandler, 10 attempts compared to Aaron Jones's 9. Did more, 8.2 yards per carry for Chandler compared to the 3.6 for Aaron Jones. And 8.2 fantasy points. Not exciting, but what I'm saying is there could be something there for Ty Chandler with the fumble to Aaron Jones, something to consider. And if you guys are desperate at running back, Ty Chandler, Jim, could be stepping up there, man.
Yeah, I think one of my teams because of injuries. I think I'm putting him into a flex. It's a very risky play. That's not a lot of volume. 10 touches is just not enough. So you're really rolling the dice, but who knows? It could pay off.
All right, next matchup here, Philly at New Orleans, another potentially good matchup here. I don't know if you watched that game, man, with Saquon Barkley dropping that reception near the goal line, and then Kirk Cousins coming back on the drive to Drake London for a touchdown. I know a lot of people won their fantasy leagues for that catch for Drake London. It was awesome, man. What a great finish. Saquon did well. Byjan did well. Amazing. And now we've got the Saints at home, 2.5-point favorite to Philly. And I would look at this game and be like, man, 49 points is the over-under. I would think that, this is going to say to us 1-1 Eagles versus 2-0 Saints. This is going to tell us, man, are the Saints the real deal? Because they're going to be playing a very angry Philly team, I would say, a team that needs redemption, a team that needs to bounce back. It's going to be a good game, man. This is going to be good.
Yeah, I got to say, one of the biggest surprises this year is how dominant the Saints have been. The Saints just completely dominated Dallas last week. That was completely unexpected. Is their defense really as good as they look? Is that offense really as good as it looks? They've been outstanding, and they're at home. That's a huge advantage for them. I'm thinking the Saints are gonna win this one. The Eagles just look a little shaky. They don't look as strong as they should. They don't have AJ Brown. So I think there's a real opportunity for the Saints here to go 3-0. That shocks me. Derek Carr, are you kidding me? What? But they look good. It's amazing. It's amazing what a new offensive coordinator can do for a team. When you go from a bad offensive coordinator to a good one, wow, it's a huge difference. So,
all right, our focus is must starts as well here. In regards to this, I mean, the only one I question here, I shouldn't question him. He was on our show last month. He came to our fantasy sports summit. We met him. Super nice guy. Rashid Shaheed has been consistent for 2 weeks. I don't know, man. Is Rashid Shaheed a must start? I would think, as a flex play, how do you sit him? I mean, he's been red hot.
He has, but again, very limited volume. He doesn't get a lot of targets, but he's had that giant explosive play every week so far. I'd be willing to take a chance on him in the flex. Sure, I will absolutely start Rashid Shaheed. I actually started him in one league and kept him on the bench in the other, and I just regretted keeping him on the bench on my second league. But yeah, I think he's absolutely worth a start. He's had over 100 yards in each of the first two games. Just crazy. That's crazy, and he absolutely has the fantastic connection with Derek Carr. So yeah, go with it. Yeah, absolutely.
Again, must starts here. Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley, Olave had 6 targets last week. A must start as well. Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, something to monitor. He might miss another week. I think it's that hamstring for Mr. Brown, I would say.
Yeah, and I would also start Dallas Goddard, because AJ Brown is out. They do need a second receiver there. I think he is the next guy up. I don't think I would start Jalen Rager.
Covey
But
did well last week. Is that Britain Covey guy got a lot of receptions, but he had the game of his life. I don't see that being sustainable on the Eagles there at all.
right, right.
So be careful there. But Britain, I don't even know how to pronounce it. Britain Covey or something like that, but Covey or something. Anyway, so yeah, it should be a good matchup. Again, I would think that the Eagles are going to play angry. This is going to be a good test for the Saints. I would see this is going to see, are they the real deal against an angry Jalen Hurts and obviously a very angry Saquon Barkley. He's going to want to redeem himself for that. I don't know if did you watch that game, Jim? Did you watch the ending of that game?
I did not. I took the night off. I'm like, I can't watch any more football tonight. It was not a great week for me last week. I went 1-4 after going 5-0 in week 1. I went 1-4 in week 2. That's totally schizo. I hope that my week 1 is more my normal and not week 2. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it was a good game, man. So I don't know if you saw it, but they could have won the game, sealed it, and then it was Jalen Hurts rolling out, short pass to Saquon to the outside. It just dropped the ball. Could have ran it in for
yeah. Wasn't it the situation like if they had just run the ball, they could have basically run out the clock, or if they got a first down, it would have been a win automatically. But they could have run that clock way down.
Yeah.
If they had just run it. But because they threw it, it was incomplete. That stopped the clock. That gave the ball back to the Falcons, and they were lose. So
there's a bunch of different formulations. They could have played it a lot smarter. It just didn't work out for them. They did the worst. Let's put it this way: the worst possible scenario for them to lose that game happened on that play.
Yes.
So that was the worst play call. But anyway, because you would think that Saquon would catch it. He's got great hands. It was just a bad ending to a game. They should have won that game. But either way, good on Atlanta for coming back and winning it. So, all right, next matchup here: Green Bay at Tennessee. Tennessee, the 2.5-point favorite in this matchup. I mean, Tajay Spears, at this point, it sucks, man. I was a Tajay ambassador. I would bench him. He's dealing with an injury. I think it might be an ankle, give or take. There's so many soft tissue injuries, so many like little nagging injuries for everybody. I don't think it's very serious. Yeah, it's an ankle. He's considered day-to-day, suffered it in week 2. Keep an eye on Spears, but at this point, man, very, very hard to trust. I need to see more volume out of him. Very disappointing because I thought he's the one. He should be the one. I guess Pollard will fumble, go back to his old ways, and Spears will eventually emerge. But as of right now, not looking good. But Jim, Will Levis 0-2, 1-1. Jordan Love not coming back. It's going to be Willis here. I'm surprised the Packers won last week, dude. Like, I don't even understand how. I mean, unbelievable.
Hey, here's what they did. They just made Malik Willis a game manager. He didn't screw up. He didn't turn the ball over. They handed it off a million times to Josh Jacobs. They got it done on the ground, and the defense, prevented the other team from scoring. That's how they got it. That's how they eked it out. I think it's going to be a similar situation here. I don't want to start any of the Green Bay receivers.
No,
I know Dontavian Wicks got that touchdown last week. I don't trust that. I mean, that was just that was the only touchdown scored in that game. If you look at the fantasy totals for all the Green Bay receivers, they were awful, just terrible. So Josh Jacobs, again, the only player you can start. Marshawn Lloyd, I believe he got put on IR. If I remember correctly, I remember seeing that. So the other guy,
Emmanuel Wilson.
He's worth a roster slot. He's worth picking up right now. But that's it for the Green Bay. That's it for Green Bay. Just Josh Jacobs. That's all you can play. And then on the Titans side, Ridley, absolutely start him. He's doing great. Yeah. Pollard's looking good. So just keep playing him. That's about it, man. I don't think I'm going to, this does not look to be a high scoring game. So there's limited fantasy opportunity regardless.
And what a disaster. And everyone's going to jump on the Dontavian Wicks. He's still the wide receiver 4. And when you come in, we bring the backup quarterback, anything can happen. And that's the thing. Like Romeo Dobbs, 3 targets. Jaden Reed had an amazing week 1, 6.6 fantasy points. And Christian Watson, 0 targets. So like Dontavian Wicks is the 4 on this team, maybe 5 after Josh Jacobs, and he gets a touchdown. That's not consistent. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. You know, you got to get Jordan Love back so he can go to his receivers, and you're going to get more Dobbs production. It's just been an absolute disaster here at wide receiver. We kind of saw this coming, and we saw this coming with a bunch of teams. We even the Bears, right? We're going to get to in a second. You know, you got a rookie quarterback, major target dilution. It's not going to be what you think, and these guys are coming off very early, okay? So anyway, that matchup, Titans are a favorite, 2.5. You guys want my picks? Link below, guys. Counselor's Edge. Join, and I'm going to give you guys my optimal picks for each thing. Who's going to win? Okay, guys? All right, let's go here. Chargers versus Pittsburgh here at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, a 1.5 point favorite. From apparently now, it's 35.5 is the over-under. They're assuming it's not going to be a high-scoring game, which is weird because typically you would think if Pittsburgh was playing the Chargers, it would be high-scoring. Herbert versus like a Big Ben or something. High-scoring, not the case. Justin Fields.
It's not that case anymore.
And these two teams have not looked that good, but they're both somehow 2-0. And Justin Fields is starting. Like, I don't know, man. I think Russell Wilson, they got to get that guy back in here. I don't know, but he's been winning, so they're just going to run him. They're going to run him.
I don't even know what the status is on Russell Wilson right now. Is he going to be playing this week? I mean,
no, it's going to be. I heard he's going to. Fields is starting.
Fields again. Jeez.
That's what I'm saying.
God,
yeah,
man.
that's what I'm saying.
I mean, talk about this is a game that could be 6-3. I mean, that's literally what this game could be, or maybe 7-3 is the final score. 1 touchdown. There is very, very limited fantasy volume here. I mean, J.K. Dobbins, Najee Harris, yes, you could start those guys. I think Jaylen Warren he got more work last week. That's good. So he's probably better. I don't like starting any of the receivers. I know Quentin Johnson got the 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That seemed very fluky. I don't trust that. And then, you know, on the other side, just not enough volume. There's just not enough passing volume to want to start any of these receivers. I would sit them if you can. I know in certain cases you might not be able to, like me. I'm in a situation where I have, one of the Steelers receivers. I'm going to need to start him this week, but I can't. I don't know. It's again, the over-under tells you all you need to know. There's not going to be a lot of points scored here.
Yeah. So
the defenses, I think, are both good starts. Both defenses are probably pretty good to start.
Russell Wilson is dealing with that calf injury still. So that's
still. I'm wondering if
yeah.
it's a little bit of tendonitis, Achilles tendonitis. That's what you see in combo. The thing that CMC has, I think it's probably the same thing for Wilson. Who knows when they'll be back?
Sounds like those two are hanging out. But it might be contagious. You never know.
I don't know.
Anyways, yeah. I mean, I'm still gonna roll out Ladd McConkey here. Dobbins, I mean, he's got to be a start here, like we said. Like he's just been doing good. J.K. Dobbins till he gets hurt, but yeah, amazing that he's been doing well. And I think there's some sort of stat that he's based on the amount of starts, he's averaged the most yards per carry. Don't quote me on this, but it's something like just over 6 yards per carry on all his starts. So he's doing well. You know, when he touches the ball, he does well. It's just a matter of staying on the field, which, again, history shows us he's not going to last. But we'll see. Hopefully things work out for him this year. Yeah, he deserves it, after all.
Yeah, and Gus Edwards has not looked good at all. So,
no, I expected that.
You don't want to start him. He just has not looked good. So,
all right, next matchup here. We got, do we talk about this? This one's wrong. Chicago at Indianapolis here. Chicago at Indianapolis. Chicago away on the road, 1.5 point underdog. Colts being favored, 0-2 Colts. Anthony Richardson has not looked good. Caleb Williams somehow pulled a win. He's 1-1. 43.5 is the over-under. Josh Downs is questionable here. Keenan Allen questionable. Both those guys dealing with their share of injuries. Those are the only injury concerns in regards to this game. Colts at home. I mean, at this point, I'm looking at Alec Pierce, man. He had, I think, 7 targets. I actually put some waiver wire bids in him. I might consider starting him, man, because I'm in these leagues where you have like 2 flexes. I might put him in as a flex. I mean, he seems to be like the go-to guy for Anthony Richardson. I told you to avoid Pittman because we don't trust Anthony Richardson. We don't know what Anthony Richardson could do. He's a rushing quarterback. We had a minimal amount of data to go on to predict on how Richardson's going to do, but he was a top 5 quarterback across the board, and he's not performing, Jim. I don't know what to tell you. This is not a surprise when you're looking at Anthony Richardson. I'm looking at the overall numbers. Where's Anthony Richardson sitting right now on overall stats? He's top 8 in fantasy points, right? But he's not producing to his receivers. That's the thing. 9.9 points last week. He had a good week 1, but busted last week. Are we going to get this inconsistency from him week in, week out? It's weird. It's a weird situation.
Yeah, well, last week, Jonathan Taylor got all the rushing yards. So he didn't, and that's really where Anthony Richardson makes his money, right? Is on the ground. So he didn't have that many rush attempts, and didn't get any touchdowns, no rushing touchdowns. And that makes a big difference. Yeah, I mean, I'm not too excited about starting anybody right now.
No.
I mean, obviously I think DJ Moore, you could start. I mean, the Bears backfield, who the heck even knows? I don't trust Donta Foreman. I don't trust Swift. And on the Colts side, geez, I mean, yeah, Anthony Richardson, you start. Jonathan Taylor, you start.
You were thinking.
I think Alec Pierce is probably worth the start. Josh Downs is probably coming back this week, probably playing, but I think they're going to ease him in. So I don't think we need to worry about that yet.
Jim,
so, I think
correction on the running backs. You're thinking Herbert, not Foreman. Herbert only had 4 attempts on the season.
Herbert, that's it.
Yeah, Herbert and Swift. Yeah, so correction on that, guys. Don't come at us.
That.
Sometimes they'll come at you. What do you mean? What do you mean? It's like sometimes, guys, we're doing this on the fly. This is not
I can't keep track of where these guys are. Wasn't Foreman on this team last year?
I don't care.
They're all switching teams all the time.
They're switching teams, and they're never guys that we as 16 rounders, we always aim high on the depth chart. Like, so many people are scrounging for running backs. I'm like, dude, there's tons of teams. I got Henry, I got Barkley, I got Bijan. I got these go-getters early. That's what I'm saying. You got to go top heavy on running backs, because if you don't, it's a crapshoot after that. And people don't understand this. They're like, no, I got to go wide receiver. There's wide receivers that were drafted 50th that are outperforming guys drafted in the first round. Like Tyreek Hill, 6.6 fantasy points last week. That's your first round pick. So again, there's volatility everywhere, but at least anchor your team with the volume getters. You know how much I love watching Saquon Barkley, and I don't got to worry about someone coming in to steal my goal line work. Like, it's such a beautiful feeling knowing that you've got a running back that he's the one. So again, these bottom feeders that I just don't care for, So in regards to this matchup here, I don't trust anybody, maybe Alec Pierce. I mean, who would have thought that I'd say that, Jim? Alec Pierce is the only safe guy.
Right. But again, it's a volatile play. It's a high risk, high reward play. But yeah, I mean, he's performed the first 2 weeks. He's performed. He's had the big catch. And he's gotten touchdowns. So keep going with it. It's clear that Anthony Richardson trusts him, and they've got a good connection. So go with it.
Next matchup here: New York Giants at Cleveland. Cleveland 6.5-point favorites. We got the 0-2 Giants versus the 1-1 Cleveland Browns. Again, in regards to this, no key injuries that are jumping out at me. Njoku is questionable. Watch out for him. Other than that, man, 38.5 points is the over-under. Malik Neighbors, a must start. I think he had like 18 targets. He was like the second most targeted receiver, I think, on the season or something right now at the time, or last week. It was some sort of stat. Like, he was the most. Let me just pull it up here. But yeah, man.
Daniel, just keep targeting him, man. Just throw the ball to him.
We don't care if you win. We don't care. We just want you to target Malik because I got him. Malik,
right.
25 targets in 2 weeks. That's pretty good. I mean, when I pull it up I'm going to pull it up in comparison to everybody else based on targets. Yeah, he's the second most targeted receiver on the season. Cooper Kupp's number 1 with 27. Malik and Amon-Ra are tied for 25, followed by Zay Flowers. And believe it or not, this is a buzzkill. We got to talk about this. Jameson Williams, 20 targets on the season. And again, that's really pushing out Sam Laporta. So all you Sam Laporta owners, Jameson's going to be a buzz. He's going to be a buzzkill. What can I tell you, Jim? It's happening.
Yeah, it is.
So who are we starting? Who's
and speaking of Donta Foreman, he's on Cleveland. That's who that's what I was thinking of. Okay, so Donta Foreman was splitting time with Jerome Ford. It was like a 50-50 backfield last week. So it was one of those situations where I was like, I'm like, I don't really want to start anybody in the Cleveland backfield.
Yeah.
I don't really want to start any Cleveland receivers. I hate Deshaun Watson. He sucks, So, I mean, Amari Cooper is getting a lot of targets. maybe he could start to perform. He had like what 22 yards last week or something pathetic like that on like 9 targets. I mean, they're just not throwing the ball deep. I don't think Deshaun Watson can throw deep anymore. I just think his shoulder is shot. It's garbage. So I mean, really, the Browns defense is the only thing I'm really excited about starting. I would love to start the Browns defense this week.
Yeah, absolutely. This Malik Neighbor goes off. All right, let's rip to the next one. Denver at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay 6.5-point favorite at home. Baker Mayfield looking outstanding. No key injuries that are really jumping out here. 39.5 points is the over under. Tampa Bay should win this. I mean, they are at home against Denver. Bo Nix 0-2. I don't trust anybody on the Broncos at this point. Obviously, with the Buccaneers, you gotta consider Godwin. I mean, he's been doing well. Who else? I mean, Evans.
Well, Evans, of course. I think Evans just had a down game last week, and Godwin got the touchdown, but Evans will be fine. Evans looked really good week 1, so I'm not concerned about that at all.
Let me just pull up here Godwin's stats.
The backfield for the Buccaneers is really a mess. I mean, it could have just been the matchup last week that they were really shut down. But Rashad White and who's behind Rashad White?
Bucky Irving.
Bucky Irving. Yeah. It's just kind of a messy backfield.
They did nothing last week. 3.3 points for Rashad, 2.2 for Bucky. And I was telling you, Rashad White is not that good. He's just
he's not good. He's not good, but he's a really good receiver. He's a good receiving back. But he just didn't get any volume there either. They I don't know. The team they were playing last week just really shut down the ground game. And so they just went to Godwin, right? So hopefully it'll be better this week.
And again, it sucks.
Broncos defense is not that good.
And if he sucks because you're Evans owner, Evan had a bad week last week. Godwin had the week. Maybe it bounces back to Evans. It's been a disaster everywhere, guys. This is the new NFL. Like wide receiver ones are almost a rare breed at this point. They're just target distribution. Like I mean, Jameis Williams is beating Amon-Ra St. Brown in fantasy points. Like that's crazy. Next matchup here. Again, if you ask Zamir White, I'm starting Zamir White. Head coach says they're going to get over 20 plus touches for Zamir White carries. And said the problem is the O-line. The guys up front need to do their work. Great matchup. Vegas 5.5-point favorite here. A lot of people are giving up on Zamir. You might want to check your waiver wire. He might be available in your leagues. You start him this week. You start Zamir White. You just go ahead and do it. You start Adams. I don't trust anybody on Carolina here, Jim, at all. 40.5 is over under. I mean, who are the must starts? Again, Zamir, I believe I don't trust the coaches, but I believe in this case that Zamir is really good. He just got off to a bad start. They're going to run him this week. They're going to run him. You're going to see.
Yeah, I mean, they should. This should be a positive game script situation. The second half, they're just going to go to the ground game. And yes, Zamir should be the primary back there. So, yeah, absolutely. I love that. Love the Raiders defense this week. If you want to go with that, it should be a fun time against the Panthers.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams, Brock Bowers, both those guys, dedefinite starts on the Raiders side. Yeah, on the Panthers side, nobody. I mean, I don't want to start anybody. It's going to be who's the quarterback? Because they benched Bryce Young. Who's the quarterback?
Andy Dalton.
And good old Andy Dalton. Their pass game is probably going to be a little bit better, but I wouldn't expect much. I don't want to start any Panthers receivers or any running backs. It's just going to be another beatdown. It's going to be kind of sad.
When I did that post, people are calling it was called the Red Rifle, I think his name was.
Yeah. The Red Rifle. Yep.
Anyways, Miami at Seattle is the next one. Seattle minus 4.5-point favorite here. Kenneth Walker, that's the injury you got to watch. Raheem Mostert, some injuries on this team. Again, Charbonnet did step up a little bit, obviously with him being out. Seattle, 2-0, Geno Smith, 1-1 versus Skylar Thompson. This is going to be a crazy week when you are looking at Tyreek. I mean, you got to start Tyreek, but Skylar Thompson, I don't know what to tell you, Jim, here. It doesn't look good. Or can we get another Sam Darnold?
I'm not excited about it. Hopefully Tyreek can rip off a long a long run after the catch. I think that's the only way he's going to be valuable this week. But yeah, you can't sit Tyreek. You can't do it. But this is going to be, they're going to lead on the ground game. The Dolphins are going to have a similar game plan to Green Bay. They're going to rely on the ground game. So Odshane's good. But it's going to be a game manager type of situation, low volume passing, short passes. hopefully Tyreek busts off a long run and gets a touchdown. That'll make his week worth it, but I don't see it happening otherwise. And I do think that I do think that Kenneth Walker is going to be back this week, so he would be a definite start for me. Charbonnet should go back on your bench unless Kenneth Walker doesn't play again, but I think he'll be back.
Next matchup, Baltimore 1-point favorite at Dallas. Again, guys, if you guys do want my picks, head on over to Counselor's Edge below. And of course, guys, head on over to mybookie.ag right now. Use promo code FFC and go create an account, guys. This is the place I play. This is the place that I believe in. Go create an account, mybookie.ag right now. Get in on the action. Again, this is the site I use. So head on over there right now, guys. And again, it's going to enhance your game watching experience. MyBookie.ag, the code FFC, 100% match deposit, guys. So if you put in 100, they're going to match it. So head on over there right now, MyBookie.ag. All right, next matchup here, Jim. Who's going to win this? Dallas at home, 1 point. Underdog. Ravens should have won last week, should have crushed it. They're 0-2. Derrick Henry got some work. He's a must start. Obviously, Lamar Jackson's a must start. CeeDee Lamb's a must start. Dak Prescott, if you got him, I mean, you got to start him. I don't trust Zeke Elliott at all. Anyone else here I'm missing here? And Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers, you got to start.
Oh, yeah. Flowers is looking good this year. Yeah, I mean, this is interesting because both these teams had bad losses last week. And I think they're both very mad, very motivated to win this. So this should be a real slugfest. Should be a real good game. What's the over-under on this game?
The over-under on this one's 48.5 points.
Oh, that sounds pretty good to me. That sounds good. Yeah. So, again, this is one of those where you're going to want to start everyone you can. The Ravens tight ends, very, very risky right now. I think likely should just be on your bench, but Andrews, you got to start him. Yeah, I mean, this should be a good game overall. I'm excited for this game. This is one of those good fantasy games. There should be a lot of points to be had.
Yeah, and Ferguson, I think he's going to play. He's trending towards playing, and if he does, I may start him. I got to monitor that situation. I got Ferguson everywhere. I need some tight end help. All right, Los Angeles Rams at San Fran here. This is going to be a good game. San Fran, 7.5-point favorites. I don't know, man. Rams are due for a bounce back. They're 0-2, but they are banged up. That's what's kind of causing.
Yeah, their offense has been devastated.
but Deebo
the offensive line and their two top receivers are out. I mean, it's bad. So,
but I mean, the 49ers aren't doing much better. I mean, Deebo's banged up, Christian McCaffrey out. I mean, but they got replaced. Like Mason's doing well. He's a perfect replacement and doing just as good. And they got Jennings there. They got other guys that are going to step up. So obviously 49ers in a better situation. But Rams being at home, just no receivers. Like, is it going to be Robinson? Like, we don't know. Like, we're not going to say go ahead and start Robinson like confidently. But by default, he should get volume, right? I would think, Jim. I don't know. It's gonna be a weird one.
Yeah, I mean, he has to, right?
Someone's got to catch the ball.
I'm not excited about starting any Rams. Not even Kyron. I mean, clearly you're going to start Kyron if you got him, but I just don't see a lot of offensive production from the Rams here. It's just going to be a really bad situation for the team. They can't score a lot of points. I know San Francisco's banged up too, but San Francisco at least still has healthy options. They still have Ayuk. They still have Kittle. They got Mason, who's playing great. The advantage here is definitely San Francisco. So,
absolutely. But I mean, I would think Kyron's going to get an uptick. They might even use Blake Corum as a receiver, I was saying. So maybe Corum's a flex option. Take a look at the scenario, guys. But again, when you look at these guys, Tyler Johnson, Demarcus Robinson, 4 targets for Robinson last week. We have 3 targets for Johnson, 7 points for Robinson, 4 for Johnson, just not enough. It's going to be something to monitor, and I don't know if I trust it. Very, very suspect. But that being said, Robinson could get force-fed and put up a 40-point game. Nobody knows. It's a big risk. You're better off starting a more consistent receiver unless you like volatility and, total guessing.
Or you just don't have a better option.
Throwing darts.
At this point, with all these injuries, man, it might be like, I've got to start, Robinson as my 2, as my wide receiver 2.
We're just trying to make the best of the situations. That's all. Like Malik Willis starting for the Packers. Like nobody knows what he's going to do or who he's going to gravitate to. Like so many just strange situations. You want to try to get as many consistent players in as possible. Okay. Detroit -3 favorite at Arizona here. Detroit not doing as well as they should. 1-1 versus 1-1 Kyler. Kyler coming off a hot week. Now he's the underdog at home. 52.5 is the over-under here. Now, again, you're in that situation where it's like Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta. I mean, you just can't sit Sam Laporta. You still have to start him, hoping he has a good game. Unless you have a better tight end option, Jim. It's a bit of a disaster here in regards to distribution. And then obviously Marvin Harrison after last week, a must start. Kyler Murray doing good. James Conner, Jahmyr Gibbs, Montgomery. If you got him as a flex play, that's it. There's quite a bit of relevance here. But again, you got that issue again with target distribution, Jim, with the Lions, man. That's my issue.
Yeah, Laporta for me is the riskiest of all of them for starting. But of course, if you took him, you probably took him in the third or fourth round. You need to start him, and hopefully we see some volume coming to this guy. I don't know what's going on, why he's being completely ignored. I mean, part of it is just Jameson Williams is really coming on and taking a lot of targets. But it's really disappointing for Laporta this year. I'm really kind of bummed out, but I'm not confident with starting him at all this week. I got to see some more volume. You can't make anything happen with 2 or 3 targets a week. It's just not enough.
All right, next matchup here. We're going to go through, again, it's going to be KC at Atlanta. This should be very entertaining, especially with what Atlanta did last week here. Kirk Cousins 1-1, 2-0. Pat Mahomes at home, Atlanta 3.5-point underdog. Again, this is where I think Xavier Worthy, guys like that. I did a post again with Worthy where he dropped the ball, went viral. He came at me, called me goofy. He did well week 1, liked the comment or did a heart there. And I'm like, oh, Worthy's 1-0. And I came back at him this week. He sucked last week. I think he had 4 points, something like that. Or what do you have? One couple targets.
Yeah, again, he just doesn't get a lot of volume.
Nothing.
It's like 1 carry, 4 targets. You can't confidently start a player that gets that kind of volume because they could just completely disappear, which is what happened. You don't get the touchdown, you disappear for fantasy. So he's still a very, very risky pick. I would not start him just because until we see something more. He needs a little bit more. And maybe with Pacheco being out, there could be maybe a few more targets heading his way, a few more carries heading his way. So, that just talk about that makes me think, okay, maybe I would start Worthy this week because Pacheco is out.
We have to address this real quick. Carson Steele, Kareem Hunt on practice squad here. Carson Steele is got to be started this week because I don't know if Kareem Hunt's going to be ready to go.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt is done, man. He doesn't have anything left in the tank. The only reason I could see why they would put him in is if he's probably better in pass protection than Carson Steele is. But yeah, I mean, Carson Steele is a risky pick. He's looked good and he's looked really bad and he's fumbled as well. So, it's like
mixed signals with this guy.
Very risky to start Carson Steele this week, but I know a lot of people are going to do it.
There is some upside there for sure, but very, very risky.
Sure. Yeah, there is absolutely upside. But
right. Next matchup here, Jags at Bills. Bills -5 favorite here. Again, Josh Allen's got to get going with his receivers. He just can't seem to hone in on one particular receiver. I still believe on Keon Coleman. The big question is, am I starting Keon Coleman? Watch, I'm going to bench him. He's going to go off for 40 points. He's going to have a Marvin Harrison type game. Watch. I don't know, man. I'm feeling he's leaning towards a boom game. I just have so many other reliable receivers I'm going to start over him right now that have been more consistent. So I may bench him. I'm still trying to make a game time decision. I'm in 7 leagues. I may start him in 1 or 2 of them. I just think that he's overdue. He's got to play. He's got to get volume. James Cook start. I would say Shakir has been relatively safe. He's worth a start. You have to start the receivers. You have to start Trevor Lawrence, and you got to start Brian Thomas Jr. He is the one. I'm all in on him. And then Bigsby and Etienne, bit of a crapshoot there. They're splitting work. It's gonna be
is it Bigsby hurt though? Bigsby's hurt, so I think Etienne is fine.
Yeah, Bigsby is questionable. Yeah. I got to take a look at the severity of that injury. I would say go ahead with Etienne. I got to take a look at Bigsby's injury. I got him listed here as questionable. And he was always never really a solid start anyway. He was starting to dip into that volume. He was never a trustworthy start. If you got a better option, you want to go with that for sure. Anything else?
Yeah, and also the Bills. I mean, Josh Allen, throw the ball. He is not throwing the ball at all this year.
No.
And it's ridiculous. He's doing he's looking like the rookies, 150 passing yards or something like that. That's ridiculous, man. You got this arm on you. And I know he lost. I mean, again, he lost his number one.
Yeah.
Still searching for that, but come on, man, he just has to more. He's got to pass the ball more. Last year he didn't. Last week he didn't need to because Cook just did all the work on the ground. But I need to see some more passing volume out of him, and also run. Come on, Josh Allen, you can run too. He did 2 rushing yards last week. That's unacceptable. He's got to step up, man.
You had a bad game. It was a bad game. They'll pick it up. Washington at Cincy, final game here. Again, I'm not excited about this one. 48.5 points to the over-under. Cincy, 7.5 point favorite here. 1-1 are the Commanders versus the 0-2 Bengals. I mean, Higgins is banged up. That's the only key injury that I'm seeing here. Very, very hard to trust these teams. Jane Daniels could be a viable start. He's getting it done on his feet. Joe Burrow, if you got him, I mean, what else can I tell you? This team is just not looking amazing. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, for fantasy.
Oh, you're talking about the Bengals? Yeah, the Bengals have been very disappointing this year. Very underwhelming.
I mean, that Andre guy was the number one. I mean, Jamar had 7.5 points, which sucked last week. And then Andre Isovis, he had 4 targets, 2 receptions.
Yeah, but he got the 2 touchdowns on 3 or 4 targets. I would not trust to start him for week 2. But this actually should be a good week for the Bengals. The Commanders last week, they allowed Daniel Jones to get 3 passing touchdowns. Okay. So I'm in on Jamar Chase. I'm in on Joe Burrow. I think they're going to be good. I'm in on the Bengals defense. I've actually picked up the Bengals defense to start them because I think it's going to be really good. I don't know if Jaden Daniels has even passed for a touchdown yet. Has he gotten a passing touchdown yet?
I was reading some stat. Again, don't quote me on this, but I don't think any quarterback has passed for a passing touchdown. Rookie quarterback.
Any rookie quarterback. Any rookie quarterback. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, he's also got one of the lowest depth of targets for passing, and so he plays it very close to the line of scrimmage, and so I think that's really good for the Bengals defense. I think the Bengals are going to win this one big, but as far as the Commanders go, Jaden Daniels you can start, and I think also Brian Robinson you can start, but that's really it. I mean, geez, McLaurin is just looking terrible. He's another one that gets a ton of volume, and yet you look at his yards, it's like 30 passing yards on 6 receptions or 7 receptions. It's just terrible. So, I mean, in PPR, you could start that, but I mean, you don't expect much.
Jaden Daniels, good and bad news for Jaden Daniels, 0 touchdowns, but also 0 interceptions, but he does have the 2.
That's way better than all the other guys are doing.
That wraps it up, man. That wraps it up. All right, guys, make sure you guys just smash it, tap it, slap it. Join the Counselor's Edge for all my picks, guys, to make sure you guys win this week. I'm telling you, man, it's going to be a good week. It's going to be entertaining. Week 3, this is the week where we separate the men from the boys. We're going to see who's who. And in regards for reality and for fantasy, those are your must-starts for fantasy football NFL Week 3. Thanks, Jim, for being here, man. Hopefully that's a lot. That's a lot of information to digest. Go check the timestamps if you've missed a team. And that's it, man. We're out. That's it.
Thank you, Counselor. Thanks, everybody. Good luck Week 3.
Have a good one. We're out.